Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Stan from Stanny G Tech, and today, as I promised, we're gonna continue looking at mechanics of programming with Java. And today's the second class or second lecture, I should call it. Um, I'm also trying to help my friend here who is interested in learning object-oriented programming. So today, as I promised, we're gonna talk about concatenation. So pretty much, what concatenation is you build up your own string that you want the computer to print out. So remember in the first lecture we printed out a simple message to a screen, which pretty much involved in using a printer, and then you tell it what you want to print, right? You put in the quotes and you tell it, okay, printer was system that out that print line, and then you put in the parentheses in the quotes you put the text line you want to print. Then we advanced it a little bit and we said, okay, so let's use actually an object and print out whatever the object has, so we don't have to print a string by string by string by string by string. What if the object is a whole bunch of text, right? So we can store it in the object or in the variable, so called, right? And then we can use it and we can tell the computer, okay, whatever is in there, just print it out, and it will grab it and just print it out. Now, another way to print out the information, or most of the time when you write an application, depending on application type you write, you need to grab a an input from the user. So let's say a user or a customer fills out some application, some kind of form, right? So you need to grab it and store it in the variables that so that you could manipulate with it, right? So that's what we're gonna do today and look at concatenation. How do you print out the preset text along with whatever the object or whatever the variable stores, or whatever you put in or whatever the user put in. We're also gonna cover how to take an input from the user, so by using the keyboard, right? So let's go back to our application. I already erased all the stuff we wrote here, but pretty much what we had here is system.out.print the line, and it'll say print ln, and it'll say hello world. And then the second application, if you remember, we had uh, the object. We created the object, and then printed object with already text, and then we print out whatever the object had. So now we're gonna do something really cool. We're gonna take the input from the user and print out a greeting. So let's actually create a new application. If you remember, I actually like to make a new application. So Java still is going to be a Java application, and we're gonna call this one greeting. So it's going to be called greeting. So it's greeting.java. So pretty much, click next, and then we have our new application with the same thing. So first thing, of course, I'm gonna delete this. We don't need that. First thing, what you have to probably guys realize that we want to somehow grab the input from the user, somehow get the computer to accept it, right? For this and for many other reasons, Java comes with something that's called Java library. So what is Java library or Java class library? So Java class library is already pre-written classes. We're going to talk about classes and we're going to create a class later on in the course. And we're going to talk about what classes do and why they're written for, and how can you reuse a class, right? So Java already has multiple classes in the library that programmers can use to make it easier for them. So in other words, let's say you need a program that's going to calculate something, or use some formulas to calculate something. There's a math class, so you don't have to write your own math class. You can just import it into your project, and your project will already have it. Now, when talking about this one, when we're talking about grabbing or taking an input from the user, so this from the keyboard, right? So we need to think, what's the way we could take the input from the user? Is there anything we need to write specifically, or is there already something written? And luckily for us, there's already something written, and it's the class called utility. So to connect that class, it's stored somewhere here. To connect that class to our project, to import it, right? We need to import it. So what we need to do is before our program, within our, actually not even here, but well, with the in the package, right? We can import pretty much from the library whatever we need. So we write the word import, import, import Java, because that's where it's stored, right? Dot. Then we need to find a class that has this. And since scanner is a utility, so we need to use something that's called a scanner, right? Because the scanner is going to scan the input from the user and it's going to, do something with it and store it into memory, right? So now if you want to use the application and using a utility class, right? You want to use a utility class and you want to use multiple things. Or any class you want to use multiple things from it. What you want to do is tell the computer that you want to use whatever is in this class. Like literally for this application, it's just enough to write the scanner, right? We want to use the utilities and we want to use a scanner, right? And it's only going to grab a scanner and use it. But let's say you write an application and you want to use a lot of things in your utility. So what you do, instead of writing a scanner, after you write in java.util, you put a asterisk and put the semicolon. Now, this is going to be using everything in your utility class. Could be a scanner, could be whatever else is in there, right? And it's not going to hurt your program if you import everything. I mean, it's not. You can just import scanner and it will work just fine. But for this purpose, we'll just use everything from java.utility class. So this is how you import stuff. Just above the program, within the package, you write import, then java dot whatever the library you want, I mean the class you want, and whatever library you want, and whatever class you want, right? So java dot library dot class. So it could be java dot io dot whatever is in the IO, right? And that gives you, like if you go back, and if you type in java.io dot, it gives you whatever is in the IO, so you can use, right? In our case, we're using a scanner, so java.utility, which is util dot, and there will be a scanner if you scroll down. So we're just not gonna bother with looking for the scanner or writing the scanner. We're just gonna give it everything. So now then, right? So suppose we want to build a little program that is called greeting, and I already called it the greeting. So we're gonna write the greeting message, hello, and the user's name, and then hello user's name, and then let's say my name is whatever my name is, or whatever his name is. Or you grab you give a user a question, and the user puts something in. Then you give it another question, and then user puts something in, and then at the end they'll say your name is such and such, and you're that many years old. Let's say, for example, right? So let's do this. So first things, we need to think rationally. Now we know that objects are stored in memory, and you need to write to memory so that the memory, if the memory is empty, there's nothing to work with. So first thing, we're going to here, and of course you think, okay, so there's something that I need to store in memory. There's something that I need to create containers for, right? The variables, right? So first variable you want to probably create is called a name, right? So a name, you think about a name. So variable called name. Which type of container can I put it in? Well, it's a text. So it's a string, right? So you put it in a string container. So you write string, string, and then you give it a name. Something like this, string name, and then Well, no, going back. I'm sorry. We cannot put string name because um, there's nothing to store it. So you need to grab whatever name the user puts in and store it into that variable. Actually, you can create the variable ahead of time. Doesn't really matter. Or you can create it within that because there is something that's called scope, and we're gonna talk about this probably in the next uh, class, or next lecture. I'm gonna talk about the scope of a program. So in other words, see those curly brackets like this, opening, closing. This is a scope. So if you write anything within those particular brackets, that's where the program is going to see the code. It's not going to work with the code if you write it right here because you're trying to use it here and it's right here. It's not. In other words, you're trying to use it here somewhere and it's right here, just enclosed within those brackets. Not even those, but those. It's not whatever is here. It's not gonna see whatever is in here. However, if you write something in here, it's gonna see stuff in here because the scope is widened, right? So in other words, like if you let's say have a classroom and you whisper something to somebody, some kind of message like "Hello, how are you doing?" and nobody in the class hears it, right? Because you whispered it to some particular person. But if you scream it, "Hey, hello, how are you doing?" everybody would hear that greeting, right? And that person's gonna yell, "Hey, I'm doing good." Everybody else will hear it. So it's pretty much the same thing. So that's a scope. So we already talked about it. So, anyways, so let's think. Okay, first thing we need to do is to initialize what we're going to use from this utility class, right? And what we're going to use is called the scanner. So the scanner is an object that's going to grab or take the user input from the keyboard, right? So let's initialize the scanner. So let's say scanner. And of course, since you're grabbing the tool, you need to name it somehow because you're not using that strictly that tool. You need to grab it and use its copy. So you need to grab it and say, okay, I'm grabbing this tool and I'm going to use it within my application and I'm going to call it my name. So you can call pretty much, you can call it anything you want. You can call it a my scanner, you can call it a keyboard, you can call it whatever, but you want to call it precise. You want to call it wisely because you want to use it within a code, right? And there is a naming convention, by the way, in Java. It's called camel. So you start with the lowercase, and then the second word, if it's two words, you put the second letter, a capital letter. So let's say, for example, my scanner. So you would write my, and then scanner, and then you set it equal to the scanner. A scanner, my scanner equals new scanner. I think it's like this, right? If I am not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's a lowercase s. I haven't I haven't done Java for a long time, so I don't remember how to use a scanner. So hold on. So is it not? Okay. Let me try something. Yes, that's how you use it. So pretty much what you do is it says a variable my scanner is never used. Well, you never used it yet. Pretty much what you did here. Let me explain a little bit. Whatever you write in the parentheses after this tool that you use, it's called arguments. So it's called the settings pretty much. Well, we call the settings in the programming it's called arguments, right? But pretty much what you do is you take the scanner object, right? You take a scanner object, name it whatever you want. In my programming, I always name it keyboard, right? Because I'm using the keyboard. So you name it keyboard. It equals new scanner. What's the keyword? What the keyword new does? It's pretty much you saying I'm gonna take the object scanner and I'm gonna make my own copy of it, and that copy is gonna be new copy of that object scanner. So you pretty much say scanner keyboard is going to be a new scanner object. So you're making a new copy. So you're saying this copy of this page from a book is going to be a new page, right? So pretty much that's what you do with the new. You're making it a copy. So scanner keyboard, since you're not modifying the scanner within that class because everybody's using that class. So you don't want to take the scanner object and modify it and ruin it, right? So you're making yourself a keyboard class, making yourself a keyboard object, copy of this object, and you use it, right? Now, what this argument states, system.in, just think about it. We are talking about taking an input from the user. So you set the scanner to work for the input, right? So you say system.in. So you set it to the input. It's like you plug it in something like, you're connecting your PS4, or something, some older consoles where there used to be a component cables, white and red and yellow. You need to look where you plug it in. Is it input or output? So in this thing, we say, it's going to be the input. So this is how you initialize, this is a standard how you initialize your scanner object pretty much, or any object that you create. So now then, we're going to use a scanner object to take some input from the user, right? So let's say we want to ask the user of their name, right? So what you want to do, you want to create a variable to store a name, right? Container, as we talked about, right? And you think a name, okay, the name. What type of container you need for the name? Name is what? Name is text, right? It's not the digit, it's not the number, it's not the whatever else, or it's not the even graph, right, or anything else. It's just the text, plain text. So which one you want to use? Correct, a string. If you said a string, you're correct. So we're going to use a string. So we create a variable to store our input, right? So string, let's call it string name, right? Never hurts. You can do lowercase, you can do, if it's a one word, you can do lowercase, you can do uppercase, doesn't really matter. We also do lowercase. Name. So now, you set that string name. Make sure you type string correctly. No, it's lowercase, right? String name gonna be equaling to whatever you grab from a scanner. So since you already have a name for the scanner, you just put it in keyboard dot and then you want to do from this, you want to do next. Keyboard dot next, right? Okay, there's something wrong with the string. I don't get it. There's your clue. It has to be a capital S. There you go. So string name is gonna be, and before that actually, let's say you want it to make it look nice, and you want it to look like the computer is asking you for stuff, right? So you want to print out a message on the screen like, hey, what's your name, right? Or please input your name or something like that, right? So how do you do that? You already know how to do that. You need to print out on screen. You need to print something out, right? Like hello message or welcome or whatever, a greeting, right? Well, let's say we want to do welcome. Please input your name, right? So how do you do this? We know this is system dot out dot print ln, and for this is just a message. We don't need the object to store it. It's just one time use, right? So we just type it in hello. Right, you can write right after this, and you can create a new line if you want to. So system dot out dot print ln, and then you want to do the same thing. Oops. Don't forget the semicolon or else it's not gonna work. So after this, you type in, please tell me your name. All right. So, and then what's gonna happen is gonna, once you grab this, the string, the name variable is gonna contain whatever you put on the keyboard, right? So then, let's say the computer is gonna outprint the message. Okay, it's gonna outprint the message. How old are you? Right? And then, of course, after how old are you, you want to create a new variable to store your age, right? Now, here's the thing. Age is a number, right? Age is a number. So you think, okay, so if I don't want to do any calculation with this number, like I don't want to figure out when I was born or something like this, whatever. If it's just, dumbly asking to print it out your age, then you can declare age as a string. You can be free to just do it as a string. It's not gonna ruin your program, and it's not gonna ruin your program either if you declare age as a integer. It's gonna still work, but the thing is, it's not gonna if you declare it as a string and you put it in a string container, it's not gonna be able to manipulate with this. You're not gonna be able to modify or do anything with it. It is what it is. You hard code it into it, right? But if you want to do something with that number, then you want to do it as an integer, right? So for example, in this case, we're gonna just use a string. So you type in again the name of the container. The type is gonna be the string. So you type in the string with a capital S, as we know. A string age is gonna be equal what? Again, looking up above here, how do we grab an input from the user? Of course, we use our scanner object, which is a keyboard, dot next. Now, while I'm doing this, why do you need to type the word next, do you think? It's because you need to, so the computer prints out the message. Let's say, hello, please tell me your name. So, and then the computer needs to wait till you type something on the keyboard. So the next action after this in the program will be some kind of input, right, from the user. So you say next. So that next lets the scanner know that he needs to listen to the input and store it in this variable. So this is what next comes in. And it could be next int, it could be next double, it could be next, if it's next string, you don't just say next string, you just say next. Just type in next and that's it, So now you typed in how old are you? And you say, okay, string age is gonna listen, the scanner is gonna listen to what you type. The next action, the very next action that's gonna happen in the program is you're gonna type something. So it's gonna listen to what you type, it's gonna scan it into the variable called age and store it in there, right? So now we grab person's name and person's age. Now let's go to concatenation. So building your own string. So you want the program to print something as a result at the end, right? So what you want to do is again you want to print out the message. So you use the same thing. System dot out dot print ln line, right? Now here is where the fun starts, right? Concatenation. So concatenation is a mix of objects and text, pretty much. So in here, you normally write "Hello World," right? Or in the last lecture, we just gave it an object. But how in the world do you combine text and the object? So in this case, when you want to print out the message, uh, nice to meet you, the name, right? And then comma or something or explanation point, and then you are this much years old, right? So we want to put it all together in one string. So how do you do this? You use concatenation. You build up your string. So okay, so let's do this. So nice to meet you, comma. Now, here's a catch, right? Here's a catch. If you put whatever you put in here, it's going to consider it a string because it's within a quote. So whatever you put in here, but you want to print out the object, right? You want to print out the object. So how in the world you put in the object within the string? There's a special operation sign that comes in. It's called a plus. So what you need to do, you need to break up your string to the multiple strings because you're printing out the multiple objects. Now, whatever you print out the text, you put it in quotes. Whenever you print out the object, you're putting it into a plus signs. Now, it depends where the object is printing. That's how you're gonna put the plus signs in. So pretend you just say nice to meet you and the name, and then the string will be over. So what you do in here, you pretty much do like this, plus, and then you want to put in the object that contains your name, which is your name, right? Name. And that would print out just nice to meet you, your name. Now, since we're adding another sentence, we want to say, you are that much years old, that many years old, right? So what you want to do, since the string is going to continue, since you're continuing building your string, you want to enclose this. You can actually do this, doesn't really matter. I like to know this because it's easier to read. You want to enclose that, right? You want to enclose that within the string. Now you open up another pair of quotes, right? And then you type in another sentence. So you type in, you are. Now, you want to put in another object in here, right? You want to put another object in here. So how do you do this? Identically, you say you are. Now, here's another technique. Since when you build your string, the space matters, right? So you don't want your name come up straight after the previous word. So what you want to do, you want to give, let's say you put the comma, you want to give a space between your close the quotes, right? The same thing here. You want to give a space between this, right? And you want to give the space between that. Because what you want to do, you are, right? And then you continue on typing, so you want to input the age. So you want to input the age, right? Like that. Enclose it into the plus signs. Then you want to do the quotes again. Do the space. Oops, not that many. Yeah. Years old. Right? Something like this. And now this is going to be your concatenated or built string. So it's going to say, nice to meet you, whatever name you put in. And let's put some kind of sign in here at the end. So let's say you want to put in, you can put the separate curly, you can put the separate quotes, or you can just enclose it in here. It doesn't really matter. Let's say like this, right? Since you want the exclamation mark to appear right next to that word. You don't give a space here, but you give a space here, and it's gonna be just fine, right? So let's test it out. Let's see how it works. So you push play. Now it's gonna say hello. Please tell me your name. So let's type a name. Let's say John. So see, next it's gonna listen. It's gonna say, oh, okay, next, okay, I grabbed the John name. Now, how old are you? So John is gonna be, let's say, 24 years old, right? And then voila, you got your string together, right? Maybe it's too many spaces, too much space in here, but it fits perfectly in. So let's play around. You can always go in and modify. You can always play around with this. Of course, I gave too many spaces in here. So if you modify it, please tell me your name, John. How old are you? 24. Nice to meet you, John. You're 24 years old. I mean, see, the concatenation works pretty nicely. I mean, you can play around. You can modify the way your string looks. You can even set it to the next line. There are those things. I forgot what they're called exactly, but it's like prefixes you can put in and start the new line. So how do you start a new line? Pretty much, I think, if I remembered correctly, after where you want the new line to be. Okay, after where you want the new line to be. So let's say you want it to be after the exclamation mark. You type in /n. That should give you a new line. So when you print it out, it should give you a new line. Let's check. Name John 24. Nice to meet you, John. Yeah, it's not right. Jeez, how do you do this? Maybe like this. I don't remember. Didn't use Java for a while, so hold on. Let me just play around with it. You can play around this, or you can look it up, and just use one of those. Oh, hold on, John. 24. Yeah, that. Not // but backslash. Backslash and n will give you a new line. See, now it's looking nicely here. See. So you can look this up, how to start the new line. You can use if you remember, we looked in where you can use a formatting, so you can print F and then use all kind of formatting to the string that you want to make it look nicely, to have a paragraph or whatever else you want to do. You can modify the string how you want, and it will look nice, right? So again, running through the program. So first thing, to input something, to take the input from the user, you grab the object scan as you grab the scanner object from this utility class, right? Library. You grab the scanner object, you create your own copy of it, you set it to new scanner, you set it to the system to the input, right? Then pretty much you print out a bunch of text on the screen asking user for the information, and then you create a variable to store whatever the user is going to put in, and let the scanner know that he needs to listen to what's going to happen next. So the next is going to be a keyboard input, so it's going to grab and it's going to store it in the variable. So then you give it another request, and then you grab in the age, right, the same way. So, and then you concatenate the string. You build your own string, and you concatenate it with the objects in there, right? The age and the name, and that's the way you use it. The text is in quotes, and then the objects are outside the quotes. Then you open a new set of quotes, and then you put the formatting if you want to, whatever. You set it up how you want it to print, and then it's going to print your string. So this is pretty much concatenation and also the input. So that's how you grab an input from the user, or how do you grab the input from the user, or how do you have a user fill out the form or anything. You store in the variables, and then do whatever you want in the variable. So I'm not sure what this is all about. Forgive me for that. Some kind of thing coming up. Oh my gosh. It's okay. Close it. Thank you. Okay. So pretty much that's how you you know work with this, and yeah. So thank you guys for watching, and hopefully those tutorials do help. And let me know in the comments if they helped you, and you want any more of those tutorials. Also, that person that I'm helping, that I'm helping with, whom I'm helping with this, if you have any questions, make sure you post them underneath, and I'll be able to answer. I'll do my best. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to click the notification bell, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. As always, peace.